Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Books and Bites. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the Shījīng, one of the oldest collections of poetry in the world.
It's remarkable. It really is.
For our listeners who might be encountering the Shījīng for the first time, can you give us a little background? What exactly is this book, and what makes it so significant?
The Shījīng, also known as the Classic of Poetry or Book of Songs, is a collection of 305 poems that date back to ancient China, spanning roughly from the 11th to the 6th centuries BCE. It offers a fascinating window into a civilization that existed thousands of years ago.
Wow, so we're talking about a really ancient text. What kind of poems are we talking about? Love poems, war epics.
You'll find all of that and more. There are poems about love and courtship, marriage and family, war and politics, agriculture and daily life, even religious rituals and ancestral worship. It's a truly multifaceted collection that reflects the breadth of human experience.
It was like a snapshot of life in ancient China captured through poetry.
Precisely. And what makes the Shīīng so significant is that it's not just a collection of random poems. It was carefully compiled and used for moral and political instruction.
Wait, poetry used for instruction. That's fascinating.
It reflects the Confucian belief in the power of art to shape society and influence people's character. These poems were meant to be studied, memorized, and even sung.
So we're not just talking about entertainment. We're talking about a tool for shaping values and transmitting knowledge.
Exactly. The Shījīng played a vital role in education and cultural transmission in ancient China.
Okay, so we've got this ancient collection of poems covering a wide range of themes, used for moral and political instruction, compiles over centuries. But before we dive into the poems themselves, I'd love to get a sense of the world they emerged from.
You're right. Context is crucial. To fully appreciate the Shījīng, we need to understand the historical landscape of ancient China during the time these poems were composed.
So paint us a picture. What was life like back then?
Imagine a world vastly different from our own. This was a time before China was unified into an empire, a period often referred to as the Zhou dynasty. During this era, China was divided into numerous feudal states, each with its own ruler, customs, and often vying for power.
Okay, I'm picturing a lot of political intrigue and maybe even some power struggles.
Absolutely. There was constant warfare and shifting alliances as these states competed for territory and dominance. Life could be quite turbulent, especially for those caught in the crossfire.
And I'm guessing these political realities found their way into the poems.
They certainly did. We find poems about the hardships of war, the anxieties of rulers facing internal and external threats, and the longing for peace and stability. But amidst the turmoil, there's also a deep appreciation for nature, for family bonds, for the simple joys of life.
So the poems reflect both the darkness and the light of that era.
Precisely. They capture the full spectrum of human experience, from the grand sweep of history to the intimate moments of daily life.
It's fascinating to think that these poems, written so long ago, can still offer us insights into the human condition.
That's the power of great art. It transcends time and cultural boundaries.
Okay, so we have a sense of the historical backdrop. Now tell me, how did the Shījīng itself come together? Was there a single author? Or was it a more collaborative effort?
That's a question that has intrigued scholars for centuries. The exact process of compilation remains shrouded in some mystery. We know that the poems were likely passed down orally for generations before being written down. It's thought that they may have originated as folk songs, ritual chants, and courtly entertainment.
So it was a gradual gathering of these various poetic expressions.
Exactly. It's believed that Confucius himself might have played a role in compiling and editing the collection, shaping it into the form we know today.
So Confucius, the famous philosopher and teacher, might have had a hand in this ancient anthology.
That's the prevailing theory, though there are differing viewpoints, regardless of the specifics. What's fascinating is that this collection was considered so vital to Chinese culture or education that it has been studied and cherished for over 2 millennia.
That speaks volumes about its enduring power and significance. It's making me even more eager to delve into the poems themselves.
Well, then let's begin exploring the riches of the Shījīng. Remember, these poems aren't just artifacts of the past. They offer timeless insights into love, loss, duty, ambition, and the search for meaning.
Okay, let's dive in. Where should we start our journey?
One of the most prominent themes in the Shījīng is the relationship between humans and the natural world. Nature is not merely a backdrop in these poems. It's woven into the very fabric of human experience.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about how nature is depicted.
Well, you'll find vivid descriptions of landscapes, animals, and plants throughout the collection. But what's really fascinating is how nature is often used metaphorically to reflect human emotions and social dynamics. For instance, a delicate mulberry tree might symbolize a bride's grace and vulnerability, while a flock of wild geese might represent soldiers marching off to war, or a longing for home.
So nature becomes a way to understand and express the complexities of human life.
Precisely. It's a mirror reflecting both the beauty and the harsh realities of the human condition.
That's such a powerful concept. It makes me think about how we still use nature metaphors today, like rooted in tradition or weathering the storm.
Exactly. Those connections are timeless. And in the Shījīng, we see the origins of this rich tradition of using nature to illuminate the human experience.
This is making me even more excited to explore the poems and see how these nature metaphors play out in specific contexts.
Let's begin then. One striking example of this interplay between nature and human emotions is found in the poem Confucian, which describes a bride's journey to her husband's home.
Oh yes, I've heard about this one. It's the one where the bride is compared to a mulberry tree, right?
Exactly. It's a beautiful and evocative poem, rich in symbolism. The comparison of the bride to a delicate mulberry tree being transplanted highlights the significance of marriage as a transition, a movement from one family to another, but it also hints at the anxieties and uncertainties that accompany this major life change.
It makes me think about how even today, weddings are often seen as a kind of uprooting and replanting, a blend of excitement and apprehension about entering a new phase of life.
Exactly. And that's what's so remarkable about the Shījīng. These poems,
Yeah.
written thousands of years ago, still resonate with our own experiences and emotions today.
Okay, so we've got nature as a major theme, and we've touched on the idea of marriage as a transition. What other key themes should we be aware of as we explore the Shījīng?
Well, another prominent theme is the exploration of love and longing. You'll find a wide range of expressions of love in the Shījīng, from the passionate courtship rituals to the quiet intimacy of married life.
I'm curious to see how love is depicted in these ancient poems. Is it all romantic and idealized, or do we get a glimpse of the more complicated realities of relationships?
The Shījīng offers a nuanced and multifaceted view of love. You'll find poems that celebrate the joys and exhilaration of new love, the deep affection between spouses, and the tenderness of familial bonds. But you'll also encounter poems that express the pain of separation, the sorrow of unrequited love, and even the frustrations and tensions that can arise within relationships.
There's a realistic portrayal of love in all its complexities.
Precisely. These poems remind us that human emotions haven't changed much over the centuries. We still experience the same longings, the same joys, the same heartbreaks as those who lived thousands of years ago.
It's comforting in a way to know that we're not alone in these experiences.
Exactly. The Shījīng offers a sense of shared humanity across time and cultures, and that's what makes it so enduringly relevant.
This is also fascinating. I'm ready to delve deeper into these themes and see how they unfold in the poems themselves.
Well, then let's continue our journey. There are so many treasures waiting to be discovered in the Shījīng. Just remember to approach these poems with an open mind and a willingness to listen to the voices of the past.
I am all ears. What awaits us next on this poetic adventure?
One poem that beautifully captures the complexities of love and longing is Yen Yen.
Oh, tell me more about this one.
It's a lament of an abandoned wife, her words dripping with raw emotion as she grapples with the pain of her husband's absence.
Heartbreak is a universal experience, even thousands of years ago.
Precisely. And what makes Yen Yen so powerful is its honesty. The wife doesn't hold back. She expresses her anger, her confusion, her lingering attachment with unflinching clarity.
I can only imagine the emotional turmoil she's going through. To be abandoned by the person you love,
Well,
to have your trust shattered.
it's a devastating experience, and the poem doesn't shy away from that pain. There's a passage where the wife compares her grief to an unwashed garment clinging to her body, a visceral image of lingering sorrow that transcends time and culture.
Wow, that's a powerful image. It speaks to the way grief can weigh you down, almost like a physical burden.
Exactly, and yet, amidst her despair, there's also a flicker of strength in the wife's voice. She refuses to be defined by her husband's actions. She asserts her own worth and dignity.
That's so important. Even in the face of heartbreak, she maintains her sense of self.
Precisely, and that's a message that continues to resonate with readers today. Yen Yen reminds us that even when our hearts are broken, we have the inner strength to heal and to move forward.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
Indeed. Now, shifting gears a bit, another fascinating aspect of the Shījīng is its commentary on social and political issues.
Yes, you mentioned earlier that the poems were used for moral and political instruction. What kind of insights do they offer into the dynamics of leadership and governance in ancient China?
Well, the poems reflect the Confucian ideals of a just and harmonious society, where rulers are expected to be wise, benevolent, and responsive to the needs of their people. There are poems that celebrate virtuous leaders, who bring prosperity and stability to their realms.
So we see examples of good governance being upheld.
Exactly. But there are also poems that critique corrupt officials, lament the suffering caused by oppressive rulers, and express the people's yearning for fairness and justice.
So it's not just propaganda praising the ruling class. There's a critical edge to some of these poems.
Absolutely. The Shījīng offers a nuanced and multifaceted view of power. It recognizes that leadership can be both a source of great good and a cause of immense harm.
That makes sense. Power can be a double-edged sword.
Precisely. And the poems don't shy away from exploring those complexities. One striking example is the poem Shījīng Min, which laments the suffering inflicted upon the people by a reckless and uncaring ruler.
So we see the consequences of bad leadership laid bare in these poems.
Exactly. Shījīng Min is a powerful indictment of tyranny, a reminder that those in power have a responsibility to govern wisely and justly.
It's fascinating how these ancient poems can still speak to contemporary issues of leadership and accountability.
That's the enduring power of the Shījīng. It addresses timeless human concerns that transcend cultural and historical boundaries.
Okay, so we've touched on nature, love, and politics. What other themes or insights should we be looking for as we explore the Shījīng?
One aspect I find particularly intriguing is the portrayal of women.
Yes, I'm eager to hear about that. We've already discussed Yen Yen and the abandoned wife's lament. What other perspectives on women's lives do we find in the Shījīng?
The poems offer a glimpse into the multifaceted roles women played in ancient Chinese society. We see them as daughters, wives, mothers, weavers, farmers, and even participants in courtly life, their voices. Though often filtered through the lens of a patriarchal society, offer a valuable perspective on the joys, sorrows, and challenges they faced.
So we're hearing their stories, even if they're not always center stage.
Exactly. And while some poems reinforce traditional gender roles, others hint at women's agency, their desires, and their frustrations. There are poems about women longing for their absent husbands, expressing anxieties about childbirth, and lamenting their limited social freedoms.
It's a reminder that women have always had rich inner lives, even when those lives were circumscribed by societal norms.
Absolutely. And in some poems, we even see women challenging those norms. For instance, in the poem Chongzu, a woman rejects a suitor who doesn't meet her standards, asserting her right to choose her own partner.
That's a powerful act of defiance. It challenges the notion that women were passive participants in the marriage process.
Exactly. Chongzu reminds us that women have always had their own desires, their own voices, and their own agency, even within patriarchal systems.
It's inspiring to see those glimmers of rebellion and self-determination in these ancient poems.
It's a testament to the enduring strength and spirit of women throughout history.
This is all so incredibly insightful. I'm feeling a deeper appreciation for the richness and complexity of the Shījīng.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There are so many more treasures waiting to be unearthed in this remarkable collection.
I know it's almost overwhelming in a good way. I'm eager to keep exploring and uncovering new layers of meaning.
Well, then let's continue our journey. There's much more to discover in the world of the Shījīng.
Lead the way. I'm ready for the next chapter of this poetic adventure. Welcome back to Books and Bites. We're continuing our exploration of the Shījīng, this incredible collection of ancient Chinese poetry. I'm eager to see what other facets of this ancient world we can uncover.
We've talked about the grand themes of nature, love, politics, and the roles of women, but the Shījīng also offers glimpses into the everyday lives of people in ancient China. There are poems about farming, about the changing seasons, about the simple joys and sorrows of daily life.
It's fascinating to think about how these seemingly ordinary experiences could be transformed into poetry.
It speaks to the belief that even the mundane aspects of life held meaning and significance. Take, for instance, the poem Siwa, which describes the cycle of agricultural labor throughout the year. It depicts the toil of planting and harvesting, the anxieties of drought and famine, but also the satisfaction of a bountiful harvest and the sense of communal effort that went into sustaining life.
That resonates with me even today. We may not be farmers, but we all rely on the labor of others to provide our food. It's easy to forget that connection in our modern world.
The Shījīng reminds us of those fundamental aspects of human existence that transcend time and technology. And it does so with a simplicity and beauty that is both captivating and thought-provoking.
Okay, so we've explored the grand themes and the everyday moments captured in the Shījīng. What other treasures remain to be uncovered in these poems?
There's one more aspect I'd like to highlight, and that's the power of music. Music played a central role in ancient Chinese society, and the Shījīng reflects that importance.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Many of these poems were originally set to music and performed during ceremonies, festivals, and even courtly gatherings. The poems themselves often describe the instruments being played, the melodies being sung, and the emotions evoked by the music.
So it's not just about the words on the page, but about the entire sensory experience of hearing and perhaps even participating in these musical performances.
Precisely. And while we can't hear those ancient melodies today, the poems themselves still carry traces of that musicality in their rhythms, rhymes, and evocative language. One striking example is the poem Na, which describes a sacrificial ceremony accompanied by a grand orchestra of drums, bells, and flutes. The poem vividly portrays the grandeur of the occasion, the reverence with which the music was performed, and the sense of awe and wonder it inspired in those present.
I can almost hear the music as you describe it. It must have been an incredible spectacle.
It was, and the poem captures not just the sounds, but the emotions that the music evoked, the sense of connection to the divine, the feeling of communal unity, the transcendence of the everyday world.
It makes me think about how music still holds that power today.
Right.
It can move us, transport us, connect us in ways that words alone sometimes cannot.
Absolutely. And the Shījīng offers a fascinating glimpse into the ancient roots of that human connection to music, reminding us that the power of music to stir our souls and create shared experiences is timeless and universal.
This has been such an enriching journey. I feel like I've gained a deeper understanding not just of the Shījīng, but of the human experience itself.
That's the beauty of this collection. It offers a window into a world both familiar and foreign, reminding us of the enduring qualities that connect us across time and cultures.
As we wrap up our deep dive, what final thoughts would you like to leave our listener with?
I would say this. Don't let the age or the cultural distance of the Shījīng intimidate you. Approach these poems with curiosity, with an open mind, and with a willingness to listen to the voices of the past. You'll find that they speak to the timeless aspects of the human experience, our joys and sorrows, our longings and fears, our relationships to nature and to each other. And in those shared experiences, you might just discover a deeper understanding of yourself.
What wonderful advice. I'm feeling inspired to revisit these poems and continue exploring their depths.
And remember, the Shījīng is just the beginning. It's an invitation to delve deeper into the rich and varied world of Chinese literature and culture. There's a whole universe of stories and insights waiting to be discovered.
Well said. On that note, we bid farewell to our listeners. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Shījīng. We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.